Has this ever happened to you? You come into some money and then almost
No. Answer immediately, no.
almost instantly, like within a week or two, you get a bill for something that is that exact amount.
So, I, uh I won our fantasy baseball league, Goo,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I was like, "You know what I'm gonna do with this money? Buy a new driver and a new three-wood in the offseason." And you know what I needed 3 weeks later? New brakes and rotors.
When I won our fantasy football league, I was like, wow, $1,200. What am I going to do with this?
Mhm.
Within a week, 4 new tires.
Yeah. It's exactly what you're talking about. It's like, "Oh, I'm gonna use this free money that, like, I didn't expect to have on something fun," and then something inevitably pops up.
I had something real nice happen to me with some money was coming my way. And I'm like, okay, this is going to pay for Christmas. This is going to be great. And then I get a bill at the top of this week for that exact amount of something I was not expecting.
Good. Like Thanos, life is inevitable.
Or do you think someone is keeping an eye on us and just taking our money?
Yeah. Pushing the button to fuck with you every time.
One goo, three yeah. Goo. Jaws three. Goo. King of Queens. Goo. Meryl Streep. Entertainment.
I'm Goo.
And I am Mac.
And make way, make way. Macana, it's time you knew. The village of Montague is all you. Better song than what we got in Moana 2.
Uh, I would say, and this is I guess it has to be slight against this movie. I was gonna say no slight against Moana 2 because Moana is a 40 dog movie,
Moana
and
1's great. It's amazing.
you could argue it's the best movie Disney made in like 25 years. Um, there's 3 or 4 songs in Moana that are very, very good, all-time good, extremely memorable. I'm not sure Moana 2 has a single of
I know
those.
2 of them were nominated for Oscars, correct? In Moana 1.
Oh, good question. That I don't know.
This one, beyond like, I think the Maui song in Moana 2 is kind of fun,
It's a good toe tapper for
but I
sure.
also can't think of what that beat is to tap my
Totally
toe
agree.
right now.
Totally agree. I
In
think
the moment, though, I was like, "Okay, this is kinda good."
yeah, I think Moana 2 had a couple toe tappers. It was a relatively fun movie, but it was standing up against Moana. This is the last Disney movie. There's been a couple, I guess. So Incredibles 2 had a real high poll to try to get back to.
Yeah.
All of the Toy Story movies. But this is the first one in a while that we're doing like a Disney sequel that is coming off of like a 40 dog movie. And on top of it, this was originally conceived as a television series, a Disney Plus series. So there are some things that happened along the way that didn't really help it. And it's also 8 years later, which I know animation takes a long time. But if they really wanted to make the sequel, they would have made it 5 years ago, 4 years ago. So it is what it is. Today, Goo, we're discussing Moana 2.
Yeah, I think Disney is just in its cycle of sequels, and Moana, while it did very good at the beginning when it came out, took on a whole new life during the pandemic with a bunch of kids stuck in their house. Disney Plus plays a huge part in how popular Moana is. So they said, "Oh, we have this gold mine." And the movie made a ton of money in its
Mhm.
opening weekend, but you really can't look at it as more of it. It's the same as the first one. It's very similar, but worse.
Yeah, Moana instant classic, Moana 2 instantly forgettable. And
Yeah.
it's just the facts of it. And also for you and I entering into our adult life and you, your father and uncle life, me just uncle life so far. Um, I have a 7-year-old niece.
Mhm.
So one of the first movies she ever saw and remembered was Moana. And she has somewhat of an ethnic background too, dark hair. She identified with the character a lot.
Yeah.
I've watched Moana a million times. I've heard her sing Moana songs a million times. So Moana also has like a special place in my heart. And I'm sure there's a movie like that for all sorts of folks out there. But that's why I think you and I particularly love Moana too.
Yeah, my son is Pack Island, so
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Goose, speaking of the money that this movie made, opening weekend, so the 3-day weekend, not including the extra two, so it's a little off. Makes almost 140 million. Massive opening. And its 5-day Thanksgiving opening, 225 million. That set the record for Thanksgiving weekend. And for a worldwide 5-day, it made 386 million. That is a record for an animated movie on a 5-day open. That is a massive, massive opening. And comparatively, Goo, the first one opened to 56.6 million opening weekend, which is kind of wild. But also in 2016, Disney, they had Frozen, but we were in a good 10, 12-year period where they didn't have much that were smash hits.
Right, because didn't Tangled lost money at the beginning? It's
They lost money
eventually
in a
made
couple movies in the
like, Tangled was a
2000s.
big bomb at the beginning because they had to redo a bunch of the animation.
Mm,
But Tangled was well regarded. Frozen had picked up a whole new audience. It's just that Moana, I think people looked at it as like, "Oh, I don't know what this character is," and they didn't flock to
sure.
the theater,
Yep,
as
yep.
opposed to now everyone knows who Moana is.
Yeah, yeah, no, it wasn't as easy to sell,
Which
obviously.
doesn't bode well for Disney not making more sequels.
Well, I know it didn't make that much money. It only ended up making 249 million domestically. I say only. That's compared
And I could
to
fill a
like
bathtub with
Disney
that
movies
money, I'll
and
tell you that
whatnot.
much.
Yeah. This movie is gonna pass that domestically this week, probably. So that's amazing.
You
And
think it makes a billion? Passes a billion?
oh, I think so the first one made 643 million worldwide in its whole run. I think this is probably doubles that. I think it gets to like 1.2 billion. Um, and the all-time record holder, Goo, for animated movies is
Mhm.
Inside Out 2, both domestically and worldwide.
I was gonna say that this should pass Inside Out 2 based off quality, but then I thought to myself, they're kind of the same,
I would say this greater than, but
but
you're
not much
they
greater than.
operate in a similar window.
Yeah.
So Inside Out 2 did beat Moana in the 3-day by 14 million, for almost 15 million actually. So that doesn't bode well for Moana passing Inside Out 2. Domestically, it got to almost 653 million. Now it could get there. It could get there, and then worldwide, it was just under 1.7 billion. I don't know if it's gonna. That is a massive
It's a
number.
lot of money.
That
It's a
is
lot of
eighth.
money.
That's eighth all time. The domestic number is 11th all time. I think it'll sneak up into that top 15 or so. I don't know if it's going to get all the way there, but I do think this has a pretty good runway these next few weeks for this
I
audience to
don't
go
know
watch
because you have
movies.
Sonic, you have Mufasa, and you
Yeah,
have
but that's
Nosferatu. Nosferatu is gonna steal a lot of this
those
audience.
are still 2 or 3 weeks away though, so you still have a full month really to make the money here. So I think it's definitely going to get a billion, and then from there we'll see how high it climbs.
Mac, let me ask you this. In the modern Disney era, you have the first Moana as number 1, right?
Yeah, like, pretty easily too. The first Frozen's pretty good, but I don't think it's remotely I actually think in the modern Disney era, and so, like, post the modern classics, right? So, where would you start that? Like,
So I would say right after I think so Princess and the Frog was their last 2D
oh,
animated one.
was that '07?
That might have been '08. I know that they had that Home on the Range movie with the cow voiced by Roseanne, and that one bombed.
So, let's say Princess of the Frog is either the last one there or the first one in this one, and if you're talking the last 17 years, I think Moana is far and away the best
Yeah.
movie they've made. It's not even close for me.
Specific to Disney, not talking Disney Pixar.
Not talking Disney Pixar, but even if you did, this would still be the first Moana would still be number 1 for me.
I might agree with you. If we're talking no, because like Up is in there. Up's amazing.
Up is amazing. Is Up in that window? Up is in
Wally,
that window. Okay,
yeah.
so you're right. I would have Up above this. Wally, I wouldn't have above it, but Wally's in the conversation.
Wally's good.
Okay,
Coco's
yeah.
great.
I overstepped my bounds there. That was a good way to rein me
I
in
think it
right
would be
there.
in the handful of you would call classic movies.
It would be to me, it's maybe not a perfect movie, but it's a 40 dogger,
Yeah.
and there's only a couple of those that have been made in the last 16, 17 years from Disney, including Pixar.
I mean,
So
if I'm looking at their big 3, it'd be, I think Moana, then I like the story of Tangled better than Frozen, but the music of Frozen is better than Tangled.
yeah, and ultimately, and why these become classics is the music, and I
Yeah.
think that's why we're gonna have an issue with this movie in the long run. But why these Disney movies become classics is the earworms and the kids singing them and wanting to watch them all day long. And Tangled doesn't have that. Frozen does. Moana does. I don't think this one's going to.
And before you say goo, I thought you don't like musicals. It's live action stage play musicals. I'm not talking about a Disney movie.
Yeah.
It's not the
Not
same.
it's close though. It's
Not
pretty
the
fucking
same.
close.
It's not the same.
You just like cartoons. You're saying cartoons greater than people.
If you're having music, yeah, I think cartoons, especially when the animation is so beautiful and crisp. And I also, what's her name? Who is the main actress here?
Auli'i Carvalho?
Auli'i
Carvalho?
Cravalho, I think does a fantastic, amazing job in this movie.
Great
Where
voice, both singing and speaking.
I think she's the main reason why this movie floats. I
Yeah,
think
I
that
agree.
her voice really gives life to this movie.
No, she's phenomenal, and she's amazing in the first one, and you can even tell so she's in her early 20s, like,
Mhm.
she was in her teenage years when they did the first one, you can even tell her voice has changed a little bit, but it works with the character,
Mhm.
because the character's been aged up a little bit too. She does an unbelievable job. Goo!
Yes.
Moana 2 is a PG animated adventure, comedy, family, fantasy, musical. I think the first one does all those things well. I think the second one tries to do all of those things. And I don't think it necessarily fails. It just doesn't get close to the first one. So it looks worse than maybe it actually is. It's definitely a perception thing. Subgenres here, Goo. Computer animation. I think about that, a little CGI
We
action.
don't need all these subgenres.
But we do get a sea adventure here. And you know how much I'm a
You
sucker
love
for
sea adventures.
It's one of my top 17
Would you want
subgenres.
Moana to be your first mate on your boat when you eventually get that boat?
Well, easy. I don't know how old she is there.
Well, no, I'm saying to help you out on the boat. I think she'd be a very good
Yeah,
first
yeah.
mate.
That's one way of translating
She can
mate.
find the
Two,
way. Yes.
they have Moana 2 has a runtime of 100 minutes. I actually think it's more like 90 or 85. It's pretty brisk.
But no, I thought it felt longer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought
No,
they
I
could have
didn't.
done with if they got rid of all the songs and it was just 60 minutes long,
So you
might have been better.
didn't want it to be a musical at all.
I like Disney musicals though.
You
But when they're
really
done
you're
well.
being contradictory here. So that's the thing.
If
I
I
think this
am
is done
nothing,
well.
I am contradictory of everything I've ever said.
On Roddy T's Goo, and this might speak to the difference between the first two. 63% from the critics, 87% from the audience. So the audience is coming back and saying, yes, we like this. This is the characters we know and love, and additional characters that are pretty decent.
But
The first one,
87's kind of low. If
well,
you're
the
looking at
first one,
modern
Goo,
day. Wait, what's that?
89% audience score.
But that's
So
back when the audience scores were a little more truthful.
yeah, it
Now
was
they're out of
different.
control.
You're right. You're right. 95% from the critics on the first one, Goo, universally loved. On Metacritic for this one, a 58, one of the lower scores they've ever given to one of these Disney movies. The first one had an 81, one of the highest scores
Whoa.
they've given, especially with the modern movies.
Hell yeah.
So I think that just echoes what we're saying here. And I do think, because I came away, Goo, liking this movie, and I can't help escaping the thought that I feel like people are thinking less of this because the first one was so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it in a vacuum, I actually think this movie's pretty decent, pretty good. But compared to the first one, it's definitely getting knocked down a couple pegs, probably in everyone's mind.
I think the main question that everyone wants to know is if I bring my child there, will I be entertained? But actually, more importantly, will they be entertained?
Mm-hmm.
The answer to that is most likely yes. You might not be as entertained as you'd like to be.
So I had a group of 4 kids sitting in front of me. Looked like they were all between maybe like 8 and 11, that range. They all seemed to enjoy it pretty good. They weren't like talking during it, which I think is enough. You know, they're paying attention and they're gripped a little bit by the story, and that goes a long way when kids are in movie theaters, because nothing's worse than anyone talking during a movie.
I want
Especially
everyone
kids.
singing and on their phone.
I think your child will be entertained for sure.
Yeah.
And a big part of that, Goo, is the visuals in this movie. Unbelievable. Some of the best we've ever seen. And no, I had just rewatched the first Moana 2. Noticeably brighter, noticeably crisper than the first movie. And I mean, they should be. It's 8 years later, but sometimes that doesn't happen. So that is something to be said.
You know what might have helped for the kids, though, is more Maui more soon.
True.
I think
Yep.
kids like
Yep.
Maui.
Yep. Adventure happens pretty quick, yeah, and it yeah, all right, we'll talk about that in a second. This movie is written by Jared Bush, Dana Ledoux Miller, and Beck Smith. Pretty relative unknowns, at least to me. Jared Bush has a writing credit on Zootopia, the first Moana, and Encanto, so he's done pretty well for himself. In fact, upcoming, he's doing the live action Moana and Zootopia too. So obviously Disney likes him, and I guess the record speaks for itself. Dana Ledoux Miller, strictly television up until this, and that makes sense because this was originally slated to be a television series. So I think they bring Dana Ledoux Miller on, who's also one of the directors, because it was going to be a television show. Go ahead.
Is the live action Moana movie gonna be a remake of the animated movie that we just got 10 years ago?
I believe so. I believe so.
I don't want that at all.
Nope, but we're gonna see it, aren't we?
I don't know why, but when they announced it, I thought maybe like they were gonna do a sequel with the characters. Is it the same woman playing Moana?
I don't know, actually. I know The Rock is playing Maui. I don't know if Auli'i is playing Moana. She might be a little too old for the role,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. So
That's why
that'll be
I would have
interesting.
taken a sequel with her playing an older Moana.
Sure. Yeah. That could have worked, but it would be weird, I guess. It's weird either way. So Dana Ledoux Miller is also a director on this movie, and I think they brought them in. I don't know if it's what the gender is, but it really doesn't matter. They're also doing the upcoming Moana live action movie. So I wonder if Disney brought them on for the live action first or this. I don't really know how it all played out, but that's not the best. And then
Does Disney kind of stink right now?
well, you know what they do, and you got to give them credit. Is they're constantly promoting people from the animation department, sound department up into these roles. So you have to respect them for that because eventually they usually do find the right ones, you know?
I'm saying more like it's all sequels and remakes.
Oh, well, that's just movies in general. That's
No,
not a
but like they're
Disney
the
exclusive.
main culprits though.
Well, you have really popular characters. What are you going to do?
Create new characters.
The third writer on this movie is Beck Smith, who had a credit on Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. That's pretty much the only thing they've got. So it's always a weird combination with these Disney animated movies, that's for sure. This movie's directed by David G. Derrick Jr., one of the worst names I've ever seen. This is his first
Can that
directing
be one of the
credit.
Mac and Goo Awards this year? Worst
Worst
names.
names of the year. David G. Derrick Jr. You get two first names, and maybe the G's a first name too. So that's just a bad name.
And that Derek is spelled with 3 R's. Too many R's.
Derrick. This is
I noticed you saying Derek. Why are you saying that? Well, there's 3 R's.
this is this
My name is Bra Bra.
this is his
That's a great
first.
Flight of the Concords
That
episode,
is
guys.
that
Yeah.
is sorely
Wiig.
missed in this movie. Although, we'll peek behind
Oh,
the
that's
curtain.
right, Jermaine.
We'll talk about him in a few. This is David G. Derrick Jr.'s first directing credit. He was in the art department and a bunch of things, so one of those people promoted up. Upcoming, he's the storyboard artist for Zootopia 2, so there you go for that.
Zootopia.
Actually, 3 first-time
Zootopia.
directors on this queue. Jason Hand, this is his first time directing something. He's also comes from animation, so another promotion. And then
How did he
again,
get the job?
Dana Ledoux Miller again. We talked about. So first of all, I don't think there was really a world where this movie was going to be remotely as good as the first one. So recognizing that, I'm trying not to be too harsh. On top of that, the first Moana was penned and directed by the team that did Great Mouse Detective, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Hercules, Treasure Planet, Princess and the Frog. So those last two, not so great. But those first 4, bangers. 4 of the greatest.
Princess and the Frog that was one of the movies that brought Disney back, though.
No, that's true. That's true. And honestly, Treasure Planet's underrated.
actually a pretty dope movie. It
It's
just bombed at
underrated.
the box
Yeah.
office.
So that's a team that's had a wildly successful career, and for the sequel you have first timers. So that matters as well.
Out of those movies, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 6. Those are 5 swashbuckling movies.
Yeah, and 4 all-time animated movies.
Yeah.
Like that's like so again, this movie didn't really stand a chance to being as good as the first one. And in addition to that, Goo, the music here by Mark Mancina is good. It works within the movie. It's fun. However, it's just not as magical as the first movie. They really are missing that Lin-Manuel touch, but it's not like this guy's new. Like, this man's been working on movies our whole lives, literally for 35 years. And he worked on the first movie too. He composed a lot of the songs in the first movie. So that really just tells you that like it really was Lin-Manuel. And going back to 2016, no one knew who Lin-Manuel Miranda was. I'm sure Broadway fans did. We
Hamilton,
didn't know
bro.
who he was. And Moana is really the one that like turned him into a worldwide star. So I wonder if he wanted to make this. We talked about this a week or two ago. He's doing the music for the upcoming Mufasa movie.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they kind of pigeonholed him into that. But the songs in this are certainly missing his touch.
The songs in this one compared to the first one. The first movie, every song felt like it was continuing the story, or it was furthering your knowledge of these characters. This movie, every song felt like someone stopped the story and said, "Hey guys, we have to do a song here.
It's been 7 minutes. We need another song.
We need a song. What should we do? I don't care. Just start singing."
Yeah, and some of that is working with the directors, and I think better directors maybe seamlessly fit songs into movies better, and that's, as a first-time director, you're not as good
Because
as
I think
as
they
you
had roughly the same amount of songs as the
it was
first one.
probably
You
about the
you
same,
could
yeah.
have cut that in half.
Well, I don't know. That's really not the point. The
I'm
point of the
saying
movie is to
no,
have
what
these
I'm
songs.
saying is you didn't have to follow the formula of the first one. If you felt a song didn't do something for you, then just don't use it.
Sure, I guess so. You're just advocating for Moana 2 to not be a musical, which was never gonna
Let's
happen.
talk about the farmer who's got his saggy boobs.
Goose, synopsis of Moana 2. After receiving an unexpected call from her wayfinding ancestors, Moana must journey to the far seas of Oceania and into dangerous, long lost waters for an adventure unlike anything she's ever faced. We've mentioned her already, but this movie stars Auli'i Cravalho as Moana. I fucking crushed that pronunciation. She's also the singing voice for the character. If they do a live action, I think she'd obviously crush it, but she may be aging out of the younger Moana, so I
I think
don't
she's the
know.
highlight of this movie. I think if you're gonna
She
take
is
away
for sure.
one bright spot, like one superstar, top of the tree, it's
Mhm.
her.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I even think that
Oh, the
next up,
animators too. Let's not slight the animators.
sure,
The movie
sure,
looks amazing.
beautiful movie.
Yeah.
Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock, as Maui. He's good in this. He's not as good as he is in the first one.
Yeah, he sounds like they could have taken AI Rock and just slapped it in there.
Some of that is because when we are first introduced to him in the first movie, "You Get Your Welcome," which
Yeah.
is such a banger of a song. And his song actually in this movie might be the best out of any of them, but
Top of Turd Mountain.
he's just not. I don't know. He was like a little scarier in the first one too. I think the character works better when he's a little more unknown, and now we know he's a complete friendly. So
Yeah, because
that's
in the
just is what
first one,
it is.
he's come offish. But in
Yes.
this one,
Yeah.
he tries to be, but you know that he's not.
Yeah, and the movie is certainly missing like some of that strife amongst its characters, right?
Yeah.
Everyone just gets along because they're all working for the same goal. The first one didn't quite have that. They had to come together to defeat, I forget the lava monster. So it is missing that too.
Tafiki.
That was yes, but I think but they called it something when it was the lava monster as well.
I don't know. But
Yeah,
I
really
mean,
doesn't matter.
and I'm not trying to write the movie because I'm a fucking idiot. But maybe in this one, you have it where Moana is more come offish towards Maui, where she doesn't, but she feels like, Maui hasn't respected her or something. And,
No
it's all about
respect.
respect.
Can't get no respect.
What if she just suddenly was voiced by Rodney Dangerfield?
Goo, Hualale Chung as Moni. That's the younger strong dude on the
Mhm.
journey with Moana. Rose Matafio as Loto. She is the ship designer. She's actually a pretty good character. the
Comic
one that
relief.
keeps-
Yeah.
yeah. David Fane as Kale. That's the old farmer dude.
Other comic relief.
Yeah. Comic relief number 2.
Well, actually, I would say
Uh,
number 3. The other young dude was also comic relief.
Awimai Frazier as Matangi. This is the bat lady that we
Mhm.
see inside the oyster there. Pretty cool character,
Cool, but
and
kind of incomplete.
yeah,
INC.
purposefully. And I think so. That's one of the things I noticed. I think if this ended up being a show, she matters more
Yeah.
in the show. And then we see something in a mid-credit scene here that implies she'll
I
probably matter
I'll
going
do it
forward.
myself.
I actually think they purposefully did it like that, by the way. I think they purposely were paying homage to that. But Khaleesi Lambert, by the way, stop naming your kids Khaleesi. Jesus Christ. Khaleesi Lambert Suda as Samaya. This is the little sister.
When you saw the little girl, did you think to yourself that the parents made another child just in case Moana was lost?
A little bit of that, yeah, because at the end of the first one, there's no mention of a sister.
There's
She's
such
not
a
pregnant.
big age gap. They
Yeah,
clearly said, "Okay,
they're hedging their bets.
look, Moana's really good on the sea, but let's bet on the sea." Now we have another.
Yeah, yeah. Goo, Star Wars alum Tamura Morrison as Chief Dewey. That's Moana's father.
Mhm.
Nicole Scherzinger, Pussycat Girl as Cena. That's the mother. Rachel House as Grandma Tia. And Goo, one of your favorites, Alan Tudyk as Hey Hey.
I do love Alan Tudyk.
hmm
Not
hmm
one, two.
The voice cast is great. I have no issue with the voice cast. The issue in this movie is that the plot isn't all that interesting, and there's no real conflict between the characters we love, and the songs just aren't great. Like, so you throw it together and it's a watchable, fun movie, but it's not that memorable.
Yeah, the first movie, Moana is fighting an uphill challenge the entire time, whether it be
Right.
against her father, trying to get Maui on her side, trying to get the rock back, not the actor the rock, but the little green
The
rock
heart, the
thing.
green heart.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the little heart.
The heart
And
rock.
this one, everyone's on her side.
Yeah.
Everyone's
They're
just
all
cheering her on.
they're all working to achieve the same goal. So it like that's where I wonder if this was imagined as a movie originally, there might have been a grander plot. I think because it was a television series, they weren't counting on this big, amazing, final act at the way the movie does. They wanted more consistent fun throughout, and I do think it gives you a little bit of that. Like I thought it was for something that was conceived as a television show. You didn't really notice that while watching the movie. I've seen some reviews that said, "Oh, I could clearly tell where this was a show and this would have been the end of an episode." No, motherfucker,
Well,
you're
yeah, the
lying.
movie had
You're
commercial
lying.
breaks.
Yeah,
My
like
movie, I saw a commercial every
I
15
I think
minutes.
those people are lying. Now,
Yeah.
the beginning, the editing was a little choppy back and forth between Moana and Maui, but they just wanted to introduce both characters. That was probably going to exist either way. But once after the first 20 minutes, like it was pretty seamless. I don't know what people were talking about in that respect.
Mac, should we rip through Fun Factor? Not Fun Factor, through the gauntlet here.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Couple words for each of these categories. Don't go too deep. Don't go as deep as the ocean.
Ooh,
Fun factor.
it's fun.
Swashbuckling, and it was fun.
It's fun. It's a good sea adventure.
Satisfactor. Not really.
No, but I was also expecting to not really be satisfied, so I'm not penalizing it too much for that.
Borometer. I don't know.
I wasn't bored. I don't think I was bored.
I might have been, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
So credit to the movie.
Did you take a Xanax?
Halloween. Will it wane over time? And it has already waned since I saw it on Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, I'm assuming it's going to because I'm not seeking any of the music from the movie, so that's almost a guarantee.
Waterworld. Is this better than the 1995 classic Waterworld? Technically, yes. But if you're going to ask me which one I'd rather watch again, it's going to be Waterworld.
Yeah, you're right about that. Which one I'd rather rewatch right now? It would be Waterworld. So I think it floats. I think they both float. They're operating in the same area, maybe.
Max Credit Union, Auli'i Cravalho, I believe, deserves all the credit in this.
Mhm.
Just so much life. There's so much this vivid.
Her voice is so crisp.
It's
Too.
so,
It's
but
like a perfect voice.
it's also it's both fun, but also demands respect. Even
And you know
though
what I really
Rodney
like?
Dangerfield is the
Yeah.
voice of the character, and he gets no respect.
What I really like, and what bothers the shit out of me in a lot of these Disney movies, Frozen included, she does the character and sings the songs. That doesn't happen in Frozen. Adina Menzel,
She does both.
actually, yeah, you're right. You're right. I was thinking about
Aladdin.
uh, Frozen did it before Frozen. a lot of those actors, voice actors, they wouldn't let them sing the
Well,
songs.
Mandy
They had the
Moore
same
did.
they had the same like 2 or 3 people singing the songs through all of those movies. I
You're
really
thinking of
like
like the late 80s, early
I'm
90s
thinking about the
ones.
90s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they only had like 2 movies in between
Oh, do
that
you
and
want
Frozen.
Steve from Full House singing you a song on Aladdin?
No, but I'm saying don't cast Steve from Full House.
Well, that was before they casted superstars and like well-known actors for all of
Well,
their.
Auli'i Cravalho was not a well-known actress.
Yeah, but you got The Rock in this.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you
Yeah.
that. I just really like that they did that and they're continuing to do that, and I hope that's a thing going forward. Give me some more unknowns, and I know it's an animated movie, but we talk about this in live action too. I love going into movie not really knowing where this person came from,
Mhm.
so I don't have an idea of what they should be or shouldn't be.
Mac, we go to when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, and I will take comic relief number 2.
I liked Loto. She was the ship
Yeah,
designer. Is that
comic
who you're
relief
talking
number
about?
2. Yes,
All
I like
right,
her.
we'll give credit to Loto.
Pants Tent City. Excite Bike Mania. Did anything in this movie get you going, or did anything make you cry? Because animated movies really know how to pull some tears out of your eyes. This movie did not do that for me.
I think it has a pretty touching moment in the final, 10 minutes. Um, it doesn't really have this big, amazing emotional finish the way the first one does,
Hmm.
where she has this realization and there's a nice moment between her and the lava monster. It ends up not being the lava monster, right? There's nothing like that in this movie. There's just a nice sentimental moment between Maui, Moana, and some outside factors.
Because also in the first one, she has a real moment of just being down, and you feel like you might
Yeah,
be down and out.
right.
Is there that in this movie?
No, it doesn't really have that, and it definitely needed that.
For those of you tardy to the Mac and Goo party, we rate everything on a 40 hot dog rating system. I thought the music fell a little flat. The humor, everyone was saying it's funnier than the first one, I guess, but I didn't get any big ha ha. I got a couple chuckles. This was swashbuckling, and I love some of the voiceover work, but this just feels like an extension of the first one where it's very similar settings too. And I understand you can only do so much with traveling the ocean, but it's a lot of the same.
What you want? Different color water?
Maybe she starts flying or something and we go into the air. Let's change the element.
I don't. That's not really what we're
That's
talking
not
about.
what we're doing here.
Oceania. We're talking about like Polynesian nations. This is not a we would no.
29 hot dogs.
Okay, yeah, I think that's fair.
I think it's
I
a
think
C
that's
C minus.
I think it's a very fair grade, Goo. Um, so I think this movie again was battling an uphill battle, and I wish in this movie someone was battling an uphill battle.
A
Um,
fucking mountain in the ocean. Oh wait, that was the thing, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah, it sure was.
Oh, okay.
Um, I for to say something pretty positive about it. For a movie that began as a show, a series, a Disney Plus series, a streaming series, it looks great and it feels like a blockbuster movie. It really does, and it's gonna make buku bucks. Banana Land, buku bucks, bonanza, whatever the fuck.
Buku banana bonanza.
Yeah. And I think that's truly impressive. It's just not great. It's solid. I enjoyed it. I probably will never watch it again. I have it at 30 hot dogs. It's my number 18 movie on the year. Uh, Animated movie just number 3 on the year, behind Transformers 1 and way behind The Wild Robot, but not too far behind Transformers 1. It's not too far off from that.
Shall we spoil a little bit?
Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers,
Moana
spoilers.
gets tattoos, so she's not getting Christmas gifts.
Goo, the premise of this movie is that Moana and her people are in search of signs of other people and other islands so they can reconnect and help the long-term sustainability and viability of their people. In a vision, she learns that she might find these answers on the lost island of Motufetu, and that holds the key to like reconnecting all the people of Oceania. With her group in tow, they start on this journey towards the lost island. On their way, they end up getting help from the Kakamora. I love those little fucking things, by the way.
Oh, you know what? I should have
Those
mentioned that
coconut people are
earlier.
great.
Pluminade Kakamora.
Yeah, totally agree. That's on us. Kakamora, always Pluminade. They're fucking great characters. Great design too. And their little ship island is awesome. And they're all yeah. They're also helped out by Matangi. She's the bat lady. And she gets reconnected with Maui in that little clamshell or large clamshell. They all work together to ultimately defeat the storm god of Nalo, and they end up raising up this island of Motu Fetu. But what I want to get to, Goo, is there's a mid-credit scene in here. Did you stay for the mid-credit?
Yo, you couldn't stop her? Fine, I'll do it myself. And then Jermaine pops out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Are you
So
guys doing
Nalo,
songs? I'd like to do a song too.
who Nalo, the storm god that they defeat in this movie, does it's a Thanos. It's a Thanos scene.
Yeah.
He's talking to Matangi, the bat lady, and out crawls Tamatoa, Jermaine Clement's character from the first movie. And they're basically like, let's team up and go after Moana and Maui. So I guess we know the plot for Moana 3.
Oh, and Moana's a demigod now.
Yeah. So because of her sacrifice to save all of people of Oceania, she gets one of those journey tattoos like Maui has on her left arm. And then her oar has like the story on it, the way Maui's hook does. So
Mhm.
she's got some powers now. She did anyways, kind of with the water stuff, but
Well,
she
she was able
definitely
to,
has some powers.
feel the water and
Yeah.
wayfind. Also, I don't know if I was hoping or like when they didn't let this happen, I was like, oh, that's kind of a cop up. Like, so when Maui is drained of his powers and he loses his tattoos, I was like, oh, is he going to be a normal human being now? And Moana will be the demigod, but
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
gets his powers right back
Yeah. Instantly. And
instantly.
I think I would have been a better decision to leave him as just a regular dude. And actually, having rewatched the first one, he almost longs to be a regular dude again. You know, like when she first meets him and they're talking, and then when he like kind of runs away from the lava monster, he like doesn't really want to be a demigod anymore. So I
Yeah.
think it would have worked for him for that to make that
Kind of like at
whole.
the end of Aladdin when the genie is no longer a genie.
There you go. He's freed. Yeah.
But that also would have been funny if he's happy to be a normal human being again. And then you start the third one out and he's like, this sucks. Being human sucks.
I do really like his powers, by the way. The hook is cool, and then him being able to like transmorph is pretty sweet.
Can you give me a rotation of 5 animals that you would constantly turn into?
Okay, so you for sure got to get a sweet bird in there, right? You got to be
Which
able
bird?
to
I like
fly
his
in places.
hawk. Don't take the hawk though.
Yeah, it would be hawk-like. It'd probably be a bald eagle. I mean, why wouldn't it be
Look
a
at
bald
you.
eagle? You
Yeah.
know, yeah.
You have
Um,
5 bald animals. Go.
I'd probably have like a grizzly in there too. You know, a real
Mhm.
brawler of a type, maybe a polar bear actually, or even bigger. And then you need something sneaky too, like a snake, sneaky like a snake
Mhm.
to slither in places. And then you probably need a bug, so that'll be the fourth one. Maybe a cockroach, you know, la cucaracha.
Mhm.
Get in there, get in, out, get out.
One
The
more.
fifth one will be interesting. I want to go cheetah just to run fast.
You got to go
you know?
water. What are you doing? You're filling out your Pokemon lineup. You need surf.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. So no cheetah. Give me orca.
Orca.
Yeah,
Okay, that's better.
yeah.
He goes shark. Orca's the absolute right way to go. It's the biggest dolphin in the world.
Yeah, and people like you. They're not afraid of you like they are
Right.
sharks.
But then you can trick them because you're a killer.
Yeah, there you go.
Killer whale. You gonna ask me?
Goo!
Yeah.
Having seen Moana 2, and in the movie Moana 2, Maui, who's back from Moana 1, in the movie, he can transmorph into animals. Give me a list of 5 animals you would like to transmorph into.
I'm not prepared for this. I don't know how to answer. I would go with a smaller bird, but one also fast. You went with a smaller bug to kind of sneak around. I'll go with a small bird to sneak around.
Okay.
Okay, are hummingbirds fast?
Probably not as fast as you would like, but they're little and they can hover pretty well.
I don't want that actually. That sounds terrible.
You just like sucking sweet, sweet nectar all day.
Give me every animal that sucks sweet, sweet nectar. I want 5 nectar sucking animals.
Yeah. Don't sloths do that too? Stick their tongues and suck nectar?
I want 5 long-tongued animals. I want an anteater.
Gene Simmons.
No, you took orca. Orca is my go-to.
Orca's a good one. Yeah, we could share orca.
Okay, I go tiger. If I'm gonna
Tiger's
go
a
with,
good one.
well,
Yeah.
with one big
Does a tiger beat a grizzly or a polar bear? That'd be a good fight. I know they did it in one of those shows once.
I'd probably take I don't know, I think the tiger is the
Tigers
apex
are
predator. I
huge.
think
Tigers
tiger's
are
the
huge.
apex predator.
Yeah,
I'll
you
go
might be right.
tiger.
Yeah. I think both a tiger and a bear probably beat a lion.
Yes, I think tigers are slightly bigger than lions. I might
Okay.
be wrong though.
No, tigers are definitely bigger than
Okay.
lions. Yeah.
Oh boy. So something that can fly, something that can surf. What can fly? Give me one of the flying monkeys from The Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
They have
Or
arms
from
and
Wicked.
wings. Um, then I need something useful.
Yeah.
It can't all be about fighting and whatnot.
Sure. Sure.
Ant.
Okay. You might die pretty quick.
I might die with all these animals pretty quick. I don't know. I don't know another one.
I just imagine you as the orca going too deep and not being able to surface in time.
I'd only go like 1 foot deep every single time. I wouldn't trust the bottom of the ocean.
You just want people to see your fin always.
I'd have a real erect fin. I don't want to get eaten, so you don't want to pick anything that might get eaten. But you
Wow,
need
I
something
mean-
that what can climb trees? Tigers can climb trees.
Do a monkey in a separate flying thing.
Oh, give me a
A
capuchin
capuchin
monkey.
monkey.
Yeah,
I
give me
would
a
fuck
capuchin.
you up.
I'd have 3 knives on me, 2 hands, 1 tail.
Oh, gorilla would be a good one. But I feel like both a bear and a tiger beat a gorilla, right? Oh, that's a good fight too.
1 second. Best animals
I think tiger's number one. Admittedly, I'm pretty sure tiger's
to
number one.
transform into. Let's see what. Octopus.
Oh, that would be useful. That would definitely be useful. You could get in and out of anywhere.
An
And you can
amphibian.
squirt in.
An amphibian would also be good.
Okay, like
You
a
can
frog.
breathe air and in the water.
Yeah.
A fox.
No.
Well, it's Korean mythology. They can shapeshift.
So you'd have to become the fox to shapeshift in the first place.
I guess I'd start as a fox, right?
Yeah, you'd just be a fox in your full form.
Here we go. From top 10s. Top 10 animals you wish you could be. Eagle.
You wish. Yeah. Yeah.
You're right. Wolf.
Yeah.
I would
Let's go
go
dog.
big cat over big dog.
Agreed. Agreed.
They have lion. I would go with tiger over lion.
For sure.
Shark. Give me the orca. A house cat.
They get the nap all day. It's not bad.
Not bad
Not
at
bad.
all. Cheetah. You can run fast. House dog.
Yeah.
No. Dolphin.
Yeah.
Peregrine
They're,
falcon.
they're just coming up with all the things we came up with.
Fastest
I do think the
bird.
peregrine falcon is technically the fastest animal on Earth because when it dive bombs, it hits like 220 miles an hour or something like that. But the fastest land animal is cheetah.
Mountain goat. First comment on this. It would be cool to live in the mountains like a mountain goat.
Mountain goats are interesting because I don't know how they don't fall off the mountain.
T-Rex.
I didn't consider a dinosaur. A dinosaur would be sweet.
I might go dinosaur. I might go all dinosaurs.
Like a pterodactyl. That might be sick.
Okay, so pterodactyl is my bird.
Yeah.
Crocodile, elephant, Komodo dragon. How
That's
long
like
is
a
this top
big
10
snake.
list?
This would have been a good open for us.
It's more interesting than the movie. Is that all we have in this movie?
Yeah. That's it.
So tell us what you thought of Moana.
Let's get into Maxac.
And Maxac could be anything. It could be a boat. And this week, Mac, with about 100 more of these planned and soon to be released Disney sequels, I ask you to rank them, the Disney sequels, and I am including Pixar movies. Only theatrical. So Aladdin, King of Thieves, that would have been number 1, not on the board.
So we got 13 in total. Yes, is that right?
14.
Okay. Well, I wasn't sure if you were counting that last one. That got a theatrical release?
Yeah, and I don't even know if I've seen it or not.
Yeah,
I might
definitely
have.
haven't seen it.
I think
So,
I have.
Of the 14, I've seen 12. I
Okay.
haven't seen Fantasia 2000. I actually still haven't seen Frozen 2.
Have you seen the
didn't love the
first
first
Fantasia?
Yeah, of course.
It's fucking wild.
What a dumb question.
I don't
Who
know.
hasn't seen the first Fantasia?
I've never seen Citizen Kane. I don't know. I have. It's one of my favorite movies.
Goo, I didn't straight up rank them. I tiered them. I know the people like a good tier. I got 4 tiers
I
here.
can tier within my ranking, so
Okay.
don't
All right.
poo-poo me. Don't
So
poo-poo
I'll
me.
I'll give you the tier as you throw whatever movies in here. We got 40 Doggers. I just have one. Toy Story 2.
Toy Story 2, and I've also recently rewatched it. It is such a good movie. It is easily the best of the Toy Story movies.
Oh, I thought you were queuing up another movie when you were saying that. Yes, Toy Story 2 is my favorite Toy Story movie. I think it's the best Toy Story movie. And by far, I think the best sequel out of all of these.
It is just complex enough, like story-wise, where you're still willing to buy into these toys out on this adventure
Yep.
without being like, how are they getting away with all of this?
Yeah, no, they did a wonderful job recreating the magic and then doing it better than the first movie.
Newman's in it.
Big
Freight.
Al's Toy Barn. And Zurg, the whole
Zurg.
Zurg lore is great. I
Yeah.
mean, that spawned a whole other fucking movie that not a ton of people liked, but it did. From there, I have really good movies. Now, I actually consider this probably 2 steps down, 2 tiers down
Okay.
from 40 Doggers. I think there's a massive gap between
I
Toy
wouldn't
Story
call it
2
a massive, but go
and
ahead.
everything else. And this tier, Goo, I just have 2. I have Toy Story 4 and Incredibles 2. Both movies that are really good, but are nowhere near the top. It's nowhere near Toy Story or Toy Story 2, and Incredibles 2 is nowhere near Incredibles.
I have Toy Story 3 and Incredibles 2 in this one. Toy Story 3 also, I just rewatched all the Toy Story movies. Toy Story 3, people talk a lot about, oh, it's so emotional watching the toys going toward the furnace. No, everything with Andy in that movie, and maybe it's just me as a father, now that you are seeing the kid that you grew up when he's your age in 1995, and now he's going off into college, is getting rid of all of his stuff, and it's teasing the passage of time.
Yeah, I just don't like that movie.
I think
You
it's
know?
great. I think it's an amazing movie, and him giving all of his stuff away to Bonnie at the end. That's more tear jerking than all the toys in the furnace. But also, toys in the furnace kind of tear jerking. If we're gonna go out, we're gonna go out together.
Toy Story 3 was so close to being good, and it's not. It's not for me. And then my next tier, Goo, I like them, but I don't really care if you do or don't. So these are the movies that if someone said they didn't like, I'd be like, yeah, that's fine with me. 3 movies in here, Goo, which again speaks to the quality, I think, of these Disney sequels. Most of them, half of them are below this tier. Ralph Breaks the Internet, Moana 2, and The Rescuers Down Under. 3 movies that if someone really liked, I'd be like, yeah, I get it. 3 movies that if people didn't like, I also get that. I think these movies are good, not great, and they're flawed movies for sure.
I also have The Rescuers Down Under, the first Disney sequel, and I also have Moana 2 in here, but I would also put Toy Story 4 in here. Toy Story 4 is very good, but it does get to like many points in the movie, and I understand that it's not a realistic movie. It is toys that come to life and they go off on crazy adventures.
Yeah.
But there's many a point in this movie where I'm just saying, how are these things not being caught? How are these things driving a car right now? And I understand they drive a car in Toy Story 2 as well, but there's a bit too much going on here.
Yeah, I don't agree. I think that movie surprised the shit out of me. I borderline loved that movie, but that's okay that you don't. Go, here's the tier where everything else falls into. Either I straight up don't like these or I don't remember one fucking thing about them. Now, admittedly, I don't really hate any of these. 2 of them are close to hate or disdain, but for the most part, I just straight up didn't like these or don't remember anything about them. Inside Out 2, I don't really care for the first one. This is much of the same. I knew what it was, what I was getting into. Monsters University just missed the mark, man.
I hate Monsters
It's
University.
boring.
I hate it.
It doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I have Toy Story 3 here for a lot of the same reasons. Just doesn't work for me. Cars 3 and Cars 2. I don't remember one fucking thing about either of these movies. Not one thing. So they're here. Finding Dory. this is the closest one to me hating. This movie just, like, bothered the fuck out of me.
Complete
I did
cash
not
grab of a garbage
yeah,
movie.
I did not like this movie at all. I don't even really like Dory as a character. I think it was stupid that she got her own thing, but whatever.
I
And
also
of
hated that
course
they brought in Marlin and Nemo into that movie.
yeah, you're 100% right about that. And again, I haven't seen Frozen 2. I have a suspicion that Frozen 2 would get into I like them, but I don't care if you do type of thing.
Yeah, I would split my categories into 2 here, where I think that Frozen 2, Cars 3, Inside Out 2, and Ralph Breaks the Internet are solid enough. Frozen 2, I think it overly complicates way too much of it. There's one decent song in there. The songs do not match up well against the first movie. That was the movie that really tipped me off of what Moana 2 was going to be. A lot of the same, not a lot of great music. Cars 3, I think, is actually a pretty good Rocky movie. If you want to look at it like that. Well, Lightning McQueen is older. He has to train a new car to
Sure,
beat
sure.
Army Hammer. And we all know Army Hammer's a bad guy.
Goo, to that point, by the way, when comparing Moana and Frozen, because I know Frozen was a lot of people's Moana before Moana. To me, the characters in Moana are much more likable than
Yeah.
in Frozen. Frozen, I kind of hate all of the characters.
Inside Out 2 and Ralph Breaks the Internet, not my favorite. Whatever. Then I would go to the bottom of the bin.
The Bog.
I think these are all bad movies.
Okay.
Cars 2 is like a James Bond movie for some reason.
I am aware that a lot of people hate Cars too. I don't have that feeling towards it, but only because I have no feeling towards it. I don't remember one thing from the movie.
If you opened Lightning McQueen's passenger door, would you see a giant brain in there?
I don't think so. No, because I don't think so. Have we seen into any of the cars in Cars before?
No, I don't think so.
What a mystery.
Would you see a skeleton?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll see one day. Cars 4.
Yeah.
Open the door. That's what it's being called. Cars 4, open the door. Monsters U, I hated. I could not
Yeah.
stand Monsters U, and I love the first movie.
Mm.
The second one was just like, how can we use these characters again? College?
Yeah, that bothers shit out of me because it also retcons some things
Yeah.
from the first movie. And the first movie's probably a 40 dog movie,
Awesome.
and that second one is just horse shit.
And
what
Finding
that is.
Dory sucks.
Yeah, Finding Dory does suck. Yeah.
And I can't think if I've
And
even
Finding
seen
Nemo might be a
Fantastic
40
Four.
dogger as well. That
Yeah.
like that's the problem with some of these is like they absolutely crushed the first iteration of them, and then they're just like, ah, fuck, we got to figure out another story. Well, you didn't have to. You just didn't have to.
No, just and yes, I know. Creating something new is tough.
But what
And,
happened, Goo?
Like
I think
getting idiots like us to like talk about this stuff is usually
Yeah.
need a sequel to get the IP going, and then we'll talk. But like, you can make new stuff.
what year did Finding Nemo come out? That
2004.
03?
04.
Okay. So then there's a little bit of a gap after that before having something as successful as that. Frozen might have been the next one that was that successful, which is probably why they went back to all these sequels. The Cars movies made a bazillion dollars, but I don't think adults really like the Cars movies, right? And
Oh no! Right after Finding Nemo was 2003.
yeah, that's what I said.
Then The Incredibles in 04.
Yeah, so those two. I would have switched them. I would have thought Incredibles came out first. But after that, there's the gap until we get to Frozen. which
No,
was
after that,
2013.
so Cars makes a ton of money.
Yeah, but Cars just like didn't register
Let
with me.
me finish.
Cars is more kids, whereas but my point is Cars is knocked like so
Let
if
me
I'm
finish
ranking all the
the
Disney
list.
movies and we did the first Cars movie is very low on my list.
Yes.
Very low.
But then you follow up Cars in 2007 with Ratatouille.
Hmm.
2008 is Wall-E.
Yeah.
2009 is Up. 2010
Yeah.
is Toy Story 3. Like, that's not a bad run.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking just Disney. Those are the Pixar movies.
Right. Because
Yeah.
I don't love the next run of Pixar movies with Cars
So what was
2,
before
Brave,
so what was
Monsters
Princess
University.
and Frog was 07, Frozen was 13.
08-ish, 09. From
then-
Tangled was 11, Frozen was 13.
And what was before Princess and the Frog? What was the last
Bolt? Was it
Oh,
Bolt?
that movie kind of stinks.
Was it Bolt?
Yeah, so I guess Pixar's been carrying the load here.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, that makes
I,
sense.
I guess Pixar, Star Wars, and Marvel.
But to that point, Frozen and Moana are probably more successful than all of those, besides Toy Story.
Do you think Moana would fit in well with the X-Men? We know
with
that
her
Elsa
oar.
would, but
Elsa definitely would, yeah.
yeah, but all right, Mac, where can the folks find us?
People can find us on Twitter and on Instagram at Mac and Goo Podcast. Every other platform where you're Mac ampersand Goo. That's Mac Shift 7 Goo. That includes Facebook, Stitcher, TuneIn, Castbox, Spreaker, Google Play, iHeartRadio. We're on Spotify, but more importantly, we're on Apple Podcasts. Get on there, rate, review, subscribe, 5 stars. If you do that, we'll get you a free t-shirt from the folks over at Watertown Sportswear. That's Watertown Sportswear, 34 Mount Auburn Street, Watertown. What do I usually say?
Massachusetts?
Is that what I usually say?
I don't know.
WatertownSportswear.com. Extra screen printing and embroidery.
tpublic.com merch. Check us out next week for a news dump, and then Craven.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss a screening though.
Oh,
I'm working, so
bitch.
I'm gonna have to fucking try to see it like Thursday or early Friday.
I'm also excited to talk to you about the Bob Dylan movie. Please see it.
So, okay,
Bring your dad. Bring your dad. Does
he's
your
not a
dad
big
like Bob Dylan?
Not really.
Bring my father-in-law.
And I think that's why I have the same feeling towards him. My dad, I think we all recognize how great of a songwriter he is. I hate his voice, dude. Hate his voice.
You know what's good in the movie, though, is that they really drive home that he's an asshole. That he's really unlikable to everyone around him.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Okay. Did your father-in-law?
Yeah, my father-in-law is maybe the biggest Bob Dylan fan I have ever met. And he also, it was like watching a Marvel movie where like you're sitting back going like, oh, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so. He told me everyone on the screen in every single scene, whether it was a producer, a board op, someone working the fucking organ in the back, he knew them all.
So is he a big Bob Dylan guy just because he's a big music guy, or was Bob Dylan like huge when he was a kid in the Philippines?
No, I think it's more that he's a big music guy and he loves the sound of like the 60s, early 70s.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Because
He's also
I know he's
a big Beatles.
guy.
Have you heard of the Beatles? Yeah. He likes the Beatles as well.
Yeah. You know what the best Bob Dylan movie is? Hurricane, starring Denzel Washington.
I thought you were going to say the one where he was played by 8 different people. One of them was Cate Blanchett. The other was a black child.
Yeah, there you go. It
was called I'm Not Really There or something.
You know what's going to be me and my relationship with that movie in the theaters?
I'm Not Really There or something.
There you go.
No, go see it. I want to talk to you about it.
All right. All right.
I like it.
So
I like it. Did
you love it or did you just like it?
I don't know.
Okay. So Timmy Chalamet was that good then?
Timothy Chalamet is very good, and I think the entire
Oscar-worthy?
I think he'll get some Oscar because that's what always happens.
So Mangold will get nominated for director then, probably too?
Probably will.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
How does it feel?
I think if you and I sat in the room for 4 hours and fucked around a little bit with our voices, we could come up with a better version of any Bob Dylan song.
No.
I guarantee you we could.
You mean singing wise?
Yes.
No, we can't.
1,000%
I'm the least talented person in the world.
And I sing karaoke.
That goes with a lot of things. I don't sing karaoke.
I sing karaoke. So we got that going for us.
All right. So you know what we're going to do for that podcast? I'm just going to give you a giant sheet of lyrics and you can read to me.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. Tuesdays are goose days. I abuse kangaroos. Tim Burton.
Bye.
Please flip the cassette over to side B to continue the adventure.
Now it's time for girls jumping on trampolines.